All right, guys. I think we finally got it here. Thanks for tuning in. It's Stone Guy 223, and I've got Edge 4006,
What's up? Appreciate them.
and, Christopher. What's your channel name again? I always forget.
I don't run a channel.
No, what I mean.
I just go into other people's channels and ruin it.
Next to him, I got General Banner.
Hey, hey.
Long time no see.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Appreciate the invite, my son.
Yeah, yep. I got Midwest Tactical.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yep. And Walt.
How you doing?
Good, brother. So anyway, I think we get some of the kinks. Google Plus or YouTube is screwing up. They've got the link system all jacked up again. So a few of the links I sent out aren't working. I don't know. It's a clusterfuck. So we'll roll with it and see what we can do. But oh, so there we go. All right, so we are. What was that? That was me. All right. So anyway, I think that's all out of the way. Got the formality out of the way. A few things going on I want to talk about. I was hoping Tac Daddy would be able to jump on. They're having problems with the link as well. A lot of cool stuff in Big 3 that he was talking about. Of course, you got NRA coming up, and the release of the supposed release of the Glock 9mm, Glock 43. The biggest thing that I want to hit on, and I know it's kind of been played to death, was this whole Sig Brace. Because I actually had an opportunity to chat with 2 ATF agents that just happened to be in my local gun shop. They were just in there doing their random audit on their books, and so kind of jokingly, I was like, "So you guys have anything to do with the damn Sig Brace ruling?" And one of the main guys there was kind of chuckled. He said, "Man, that was the biggest waste of paper our department's ever seen." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, it's a crock." He said that the ruling should have never been made. And from my understanding, the way he explained it, the way it was told to him, was that someone, either a group and or an individual, had contacted a federal judge and basically brought it to the attention of that federal judge that the Sig Brace was being used to bypass or circumvent an SBR law. That people were using the Sig Brace and then using the rifle as an SBR, which kind of forced the hand of this judge to make the ruling, or to pressure the ATF to make the ruling.
He can't do that.
So
He can't pressure them to do anything. He's a judge. He's there to judge whatever presented in front of him, not to sit there and lean on people like he's a sheriff or a politician. I know he's federally appointed, but it's not his place to sit there and go, well, okay, it's brought to my attention, so I'm definitely going to contact people and lean on them. That's not what a judge does. He's supposed to be biased.
oh yeah, but that doesn't happen. And this is just from an ATF agent. So whether or not his information was correct, but the fact that it came out of
I believe the story, but I mean,
no, I'm just saying, the fact that an ATF agent even thinks that it's ridiculous gives me hope. The fact that they feel like that it was more or less something that they were even kind of forced into.
Well, here, let me ask this, if you don't mind. It's not a matter of the ruling itself, whether it's BS or not, whether it should be there or not. It's there. Now, as people who host channels, host podcasts, or take part in them, is it right of us to say, well, I don't agree with this, so fuck the ATF, I'm going to do what I want?
Well, absolutely not. And that was his point. He said that the biggest thing is whether or not you're going to be that guy that takes 10 selfies of you or a buddy at the range shouldering this rifle. And and basically his words were, if you're dumb enough to take selfies and post pictures of you doing something illegal, then you should have to pay a fine. You should be punished. Um, in other words, he was basically, without saying it, he was basically saying, use it how you're going to use it, but don't broadcast it.
Yeah, but that's more than a fine. Isn't that like
Felony.
$100,000 and 10 years in federal?
It's at least a felony charge against you, whether it's a conviction or not, and a massive fine.
Yeah, it's not like a parking ticket or something.
Yeah.
No. But, I mean, I'm glad you kind of picked this topic because I did a rant the other day, in fact, about this because I was enjoying I'm not going to name names. In fact, I can't even remember his name. I was getting to know his channel on YouTube, and I was watching his videos, and he was well-informed. He had his own private range, huge arsenal to teach from. And then I got to one video, and he literally, almost word for word, said, well, I know what the ruling is on this, but fuck that. This is my gun, and I'll do what I want with it, and shouldered the Sig Brace and said, see, you can do this all you want too, folks.
Well, and that's just ignorance and immaturity showing through. That's because now
This gentleman appeared
video.
to be mid-40s.
Right.
There are a lot of ranges, at least that I've heard accounts for, at least one in particular, locally to me, where even when that letter was out there, you could go ahead and have fun with it and put it on your shoulder, whatever. There's no improper way to shoot it. There's one range, it's a public range, very popular one here, and they were telling people, sorry, knock that shit off, not at my range, even when there wasn't like the suggestion that they were going to, obviously going to do something about it. That range would not let them do it because that's the way they saw it. It's like, I'm not going to have it here.
Right. Well, and the thing about it is that, as this gentleman, the ATF agent, even said, it's a matter of course, all this was obviously unofficial. It wasn't recorded. It wasn't in any official capacity, but he was leading on to the fact that they're not going to be out searching for people breaking this law. It's not like this is going to be something that's actively pursued and things of that nature. He said basically the only way they're going to act on anything like that is if they're given no choice, if they're backed into a corner and it's thrown in their face and made a spectacle of. And honestly, I'm kind of that was refreshing, but then you got other big channel. I won't name names, but I'm sure everybody will figure it out. You got very large channels on YouTube that do a video and they say, well, I'm not going to shoulder it, but I can shoot it from my cheek about an inch from my shoulder, and that's legal because according to the verbiage just recently released, it has to touch your shoulder for it to be illegal. And even a situation like that, I think, is still kind of poking at the ATF in a way. It's still kind of like, see, it's like that old thing where you would stick your finger a centimeter in front of someone's face and go, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. I mean, it's kind of just.
Are they just trying to get slapped by the ATF? Because personally, like, I try and teach about guns. I'm planning on building an AR pistol with a Sig Brace in about roughly 6 months from now. I plan on showing it the whole thing top to bottom on my channel, but I'm going to stress enough throughout it. This is an arm brace. This is meant for this. If I would, the whole reason I'm putting the brace on is to brace it to my arm, not to shoulder it.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. And I asked him about this cheek thing. I said, well, there's someone, and I didn't, of course, I didn't say names or even say anything about YouTube or anything. I said there was a guy that said you could put it to your cheek and fire it. Is that okay? And he said, well, we haven't made any determinations on that. He said, but I will tell you this. The way we're reading and interpreting that law is it's any unintended use of that device. And that device is intended to be strapped onto your arm as an arm brace. So even
Yeah, but that,
it might be a month from now, they might come out and say, you know what? Since you brought it to our attention, you can't shoot it from your cheek. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where does it end?
the brace has obvious cheek welds on it for your face. So I would think that, like, maybe if somebody was once injured and had to use it for a small period of time and then left it on there and then could put it on their cheek after their arm healed or something. So you can always use that.
The whole design of the brace wasn't just for people with arm injuries. It was for people with arm, back, neck, or lower body damage to them. Veterans who have sustained damage, or even like me, civilians who have had severe back trauma at one point in time.
I thought it was interesting to.
If you got your own land where you can do your own shooting and you have privacy, you can do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do in reference, but to take pictures of it and put it on YouTube, or if you're doing something that's considered illegal, that's pretty stupid altogether. In any act, whether it's
Right.
shooting
Well, that's
this, or doing something else, or smoking some, or doing drugs or anything stupid, it's illegal. And posting it on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube in general, I mean, that's just ignorant.
Well, I mean, look at just about every other week, there's some story about some criminal posting their selfies or doing this, or they recorded it, and oops, it accidentally went to Facebook or whatever. These are accidents and they're nailing them. People are purposely rubbing this in the face of the ATF, and they're kind of being nice about it and leaving them alone right now. But eventually they're going to have enough and really smack all of us for it.
Well, and that's just it. I think initially the catalyst to all this reevaluation, was reinterpretation was the fact that you had a lot of people posting on social media saying, look at me, I don't have to pay a $200 tax stamp and I can still have an SBR, and it was only a matter of time before they were backed into a corner, like he said, where there was finally brought to the attention and there had to be a ruling on it. So anyway, I don't know. I know that the Sig Brace thing has been beat to death, but I just thought it was interesting to hear it straight from an ATF agent that they thought it was complete BS and a waste of time, that that it was even an issue,
It's completely pointless. the whole thing. To me, I can't see where it makes a hail of beans of difference. I just don't understand it.
It's the original purpose of the ATF was to collect taxes on these items, and that's all it is if it's being labeled as an SBR, every SBR out there, that's $200 that they can get and put in the coffers. So they're trying to do it. But even better is if you don't pay that stamp, they get to put a lot more money in the coffers by putting your ass in jail or prosecuting you.
Well, and I will tell you this, he's, and I'm sure, I don't know why we would think they weren't, but they're very aware, the ATF, of the fact that price has not changed since the 30s. Because he said that he's had people that have bitched to him about the $200, and and he said, well, look, what you're bitching about $200. Theoretically, if it had risen with inflation and everything else, it would be about $1,200. So he said, be happy that we haven't changed the price of that tax stamp since the 30s. So,
well, I mean,
part of the point of the price stamp was to make sure most people could not afford it back in the 30s.
Exactly.
$200 in the 30s was the equivalent of probably about $2,000.
That's what I'm saying. So we actually need to be fortunate that.
I'm just throwing a number out there.
No, I bet you're pretty close. I think it's like 12. It would actually be about $1,200 today.
There's almost enough to buy a house in the day.
So it's
I mean,
it's
honestly,
crazy.
any of us could. I mean, we pay more for one pistol than one. You could pay for a silencer and a SBR tax stamp.
Right.
I mean, if you have a pistol, you can SBR that thing in a second. Wait the 3 to 6 months, and
yeah, it's almost.
It's easy as ever.
I know.
Did I miss the part where we were? Is this about having to pay a syntax to have a weapon or a piece of a weapon that doesn't fit the norm?
No. It was just I talked with an ATF guy today about the Sig Brace.
Well,
Actually, oh, sorry.
I'll say one of the things about, unfortunately, we make a lot of American-made products. There's other things, boats and some other stuff that are out there. Guns is one of them, and accessories to guns and whatnot that are American-made companies. And you would think you'd want any administration to sit there and promote American-made companies, but they frown against the gun community or that stuff. And again, it's like you create more jobs. What do you freaking care? As long as you're not selling drugs to people.
Here,
Well, it almost seems like that would be advantageous for us as a gun culture, gun community, however you want to, group us together, but to have a push to pay more tax stamps, to have a push to do more SBRs, to do more silencers, and to pay the money, to pay the tax, and show them the amount of revenue that we can generate for them.
Exactly. I'm sure you can imagine if these taxes were taken away, you'd see the influx of business going to these Silencer Co. and Gemstar or these other all stuff, and just opening the gate for them to make money and do it legally.
Well,
not legal, but
actually, with you saying that, Silencer Co. I did read one news article today, actually. I completely forgot about it until he said that name. Silencer Co. is actually starting, I don't know how they're going about it, but they're starting a movement to try and get silencers off that Title II list, so you don't have the NFA stamp anymore. And they've actually put their sales records up as part of this, and now I'm paraphrasing from what I read earlier this morning, but they said that their business has increased 5 times every year since 2012 or 13. So every year they've gotten 5 times as bigger than the previous year. So now they're finally big enough to make the push to try and get silencers taken off.
Yeah, you get it open to everybody, then it would go probably 2,000% of what their current production was. Trying to keep up.
Yeah, and I think that's what I don't understand is because it's only we're only talking about $200. I mean, $200 is a couple hundred rounds of ammunition, for Christ's sake. In the grand scheme of things, when you're talking about buying a firearm and the actual silencer itself.
Well, let me throw this.
Yeah, but when you got to buy one for each different, at least each different caliber or whatever, like if because I know some of them cover groups or whatever, but still you could be looking at buying 4 or 5 of them to cover all your firearms if you really wanted to silence everything. And a lot of guys would if they could, but they can't.
I don't like
6 of them are $1,200.
About this though, if no one had to purchase an NFA tax stamp on a silencer anymore, and I'm not expecting my state to allow them by any means, but if most states were able to freely sell these things, the price on them would drop significantly versus the 700-800 on the cheap end for some of them, down to probably about the $200-300 mark, I would guess.
I don't know. I don't know how much of that is supply and demand versus the actual materials and
Well,
technology involved in it.
I agree with that. Like, it's kind of like, buying a CHL, or not buying, but, qualifying and getting one. You pay X amount of money, but you have one that allows you to buy. I agree. I don't agree giving the ATF any money, or the government any money that more than they already take from me. But if you're going to do it, at least do something where, like, okay, you pay one stamp that qualifies you to be able to buy these products from then on. You don't have to buy one for each individual thing, and every time you go to the range, you have to present it to the range master that you have your tax stamp with your, with your can to shoot. It's ridiculous, and I think that if the market was become more open and people get more interested, especially with a lot of ranches and farms that are being slimmed down as families are having to sell them off, not necessarily by choice, and they want to shoot on their property or or hunt sometimes, and it's a lot more less noise pollution. People are complaining about hearing about pistols or rifles, when they have a gun club in the local area.
Well, absolutely, and there's more states right now that have, like for instance, Georgia's one of them that just passed the silencers for hunting. So I think the more states that jump on board with allowing silencers while hunting, you might see, a trickle effect, and the more states that jump on board with that, the more lax the regulations may be.
Hey, if at least
Probably our.
5 of them don't do it, my state will never even consider it. So we got to get more states on board, that's for sure.
Yeah, what we really need to be selling to John Q. Public that, we might need to play along when we're asking for them to be legalized or detaxed or however you want to look at it, is it's polite. There's a lot of countries where it's considered impolite not to have a silencer because it's just, the right thing to do. It doesn't make the gun like a TV gun where you can go out and snipe people and nobody know about it. It's a misnomer of what a true silencer is, because most of them barely bring a weapon down to the point where you can shoot them without earplugs in, to be quite honest about it.
Silencer code's been added for a while now, trying to fight to get them taken off the registry, the NFA registry, and their new movement's called Fight the Noise.
Yes.
So they're asking people to hashtag all their pictures and videos and stuff like that with their silencers with Fight the Noise to try to get the word out.
Well, I mean, they are appeal with this whole new movement that they're trying this time. It is appealing to someone like me who does live in an apartment building, where if I have a break-in and enter, and it's going to pretty much kill my hearing for sure, and probably my family's in the other room if I have to deal with something.
I'm not so sure I would agree with the idea of using it on hunting on public grounds, because I mean, what I mean by that is it lets people know, you know what I mean, from far off that there is somebody out there hunting.
I mean, how many of the people in here have been out shooting with an actual silencer? Because your average hunting rifle is not a low velocity round where it's subsonic. So you're still getting one hell of a crack. So it's not like people in your area aren't going to know you're shooting. It's just not going to be quite as loud as it was before.
Depending on the suppressor and the round you're shooting out of the rifle, some of them you need to wear hearing protection anyway, because you're not at I mean, it's not as loud, but it's also not hearing safe.
It depends what you're shooting. I mean, if you're going to duck hunting or something like that, I mean, I can see it because you're going to be using multiple rounds. But deer hunting or bear hunting or moose hunting or whatever, I mean, it's going to be, you're hoping to only take a couple of shots and that's the end of it.
Right. Unfortunately, with the percussion of rifles, one shot can cause permanent hearing loss. It's been proved over and over again. It just has to hit your ear the right way. Why it might not be a good idea to shoot next to a tree or something. You just never know how it's going to hit. But
there's the argument, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, really, the only ones that get close to non-hearing protection are, basically any round you can keep under that 1,000 feet per second area because it's not getting that sonic crack.
Yeah.
And and even those are still, I don't know, I'm not a silencer expert, but you're still probably talking about 80 or 90 decibels. I think your average air blow nozzle puts out about 120 decibels.
Yeah, something.
To quantify, but
Well, that's at least there's room to. Yeah, I always want to try to reiterate the fact that we really do have it good in a lot of states, and it seems as if there's constant pushes or constant improvement on part of the ATF for certain aspects of our gun rights, and then I know it's hard to see the forest for the trees when you have some shit like the M855 that just came down, but
yeah.
in the totality of it, I think we're still pretty fortunate.
Fortunately, it's not on Mom's Demand Action's radar. They want to get rid of the gun altogether, not worry about whether or not you make it quieter.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still worried about Kroger's.
Unfortunately, I'm not feeling very hopeful where I live. I think it's going to get worse here before it gets better, because after the success in Washington, we're next, and they are making a whole hell of a lot of noise, and it seems like they may have learned some new tricks in Washington. So,
now, where are you at?
Oregon.
I thought Oregon was super gun friendly.
It is. I mean, shit, I can own anything I want. If I have enough money, I go out and fill out the correct paperwork, I can have anything here. And I can carry, open, concealed, whatever. But unfortunately, like I said, the Bloomberg crowd they're really feeling empowered after Washington, so they're coming to my state next, and like literally this state is as free as it can get, and when it comes to firearms rights, and they're really trying hard to change that shit here.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have the Democratic legislature, and I think even without Mom's Demand Action, they've been sitting around waiting for the opportunity.
I don't agree with that, but I think because of the Bloomberg crowd, it's shifting, and it's not shifting favorably, which is unfortunate because we haven't had anything here to make them think that they need to do what they want to do. But like I said, because the success in Washington is making them feel emboldened. And I don't know if the NRA, IRL, I don't think we'll have the letter writing. You saw what happened in Washington when they lost closely, but they still lost. And I didn't see any real serious national attention. And what I think their new tactic is to go state by state, not do this backdoor Obama. I mean, this backdoor Obama shit's just one piece of the pie. The other piece is to go state by state.
Well, they keyed in on that whole initiative process because basically any state that has an initiative process, they're trying to get the signatures to put it together. I follow Oregon closely with the OFF and a couple of the other groups, and they've been fighting hard for the last 4 years. But we had the right balance. You had the right balance in the legislature to keep it at bay, but it went the other way on the balance between red and blue.
Yeah, and unfortunately, OFF is, for all the good work they do, I have to admit, every once in a while they do something that makes me cringe hard.
Yeah.
And that's.
I don't know. They've been on a campaign to get the counties to at least sign resolutions that they disagree with any more gun laws, and they're up to. I think they're up to close to 60% of the counties. I basically told the state legislature we don't want any more gun laws.
When it comes down to it, it'll be every single county in the state of Oregon versus 2 counties, which is, or maybe 3 at the most, which is insane if you think about it, that all the power is in 3 counties. And I don't know how many counties the state of Oregon has, but it's a lot.
Look at Illinois. Illinois is controlled by one county alone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Yeah, but like the difference is like here it's like we have a hard libertarian leaning in Oregon. I mean, as democratic as it is, some of the stuff that goes through the legislature and wins, you'd be amazed. You know, you'd think it'd be the
I,
exact opposite here,
I'm
but
going to correct you a little bit. You have a hard liberal leaning, not libertarian.
no, dude, it's libertarian as hell here. But but there aren't any libertarian people in office right now or at all here. But like I said, like I wish there was a bigger outcry to like defend. You know, if we could all get together like we did for the M855, just like for Washington or for Oregon or other states that are facing this problem, then I'd feel safe and like celebrating like and feel good about the future of. But honestly, they're gonna keep trying to shoehorn this shit through the ATF and the Department of Justice, and they're also going to try to go state by state and just nitpick. And yeah, we win in Texas, we win it in Florida, but we also lose in Washington, we lose in Oregon, we lose in other states that are relatively free.
Well, I mean, at the same time, there is enough states out there that will not give up their gun rights no matter what at this point. Make a real difference nationwide if they do go state by state.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is not to harp on it, but Washington is a very much pro-gun state, as much as all the other blue crap we got going on. And just in the wording of this initiative is how they trick the general public into voting for it. You got to be super on your guard because you'll have people voting for it. I mean, we had gun people that didn't investigate the issue that voted for it because they didn't see it as a big infringement or a big problem until the law came out and they realized what they'd actually voted for.
Right. Well,
just crazy.
I don't know if, and this is kind of along those same lines of just states that I don't think we're ever going to win over. But did you guys see the fake gun store in New York video? Now,
oh, that pissed me off just so
dude,
much.
that was the most ridiculous. Like, I just can't even string together all the adjectives that I want to use to describe this horrific video. It's
What video was this?
You want me to fill them in the gist of what it was, Stone Guy?
But yeah, I mean, if they haven't seen it, it's ridiculous. I want to know, for one, if you think that if it was the total spoof, or if you think they actually opened up a shop like that for.
I think they probably actually rented it out and tried it. But I mean, at the same time, since we're in New York, they also have a piece of legislation on the table somewhere in New York about making preppers go through the same registration and identification process as sex offenders currently, to go hand in hand with what's going on in the fake gun shop.
Here's why I'm not sure it's real.
If we're going to focus in on the video.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Here's why I don't think it's real is because the guns, a lot of the guns on that wall are like as illegal as hell where they were trying to sell them. So they would have to be fake, I would guess. Or how would they how would they be able to like have those firearms in that state? I mean that's why I didn't think it was real.
Yeah, I don't know if they had somebody who had an FFL support them, which would have been really sick, but it might have happened, and it was all pre-banned stuff, and they weren't actually selling high-capacity magazines and stuff like that. They could have had the materials there to do the video, but just, I mean, even if it.
Yeah, they were selling guns, Luke. It was in New York. That's not allowed. So yeah, I think it was BS.
Well, no, not the fact that they were selling them. The fact that they actually opened up a storefront for real people to come in and
Sure.
totally just exploit these firearms, and to the stories that were associated with. For one, those firearms would still be in evidence lockers. There's no way in hell that they would be that would actually be the firearm. And I think, but the principle, is the fact that they were writing these, these tags or these stories associated with that type of gun, and it's complete bullshit. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, it's getting some attention now. Whether or not it's mostly anti-gunners watching it or most of the pro-gunners watching it because they can't believe what bullshit it is.
I'm willing to bet it's getting more traction for viewership from the gun community because everybody's so horrified by it, they're sharing it around so everybody else can see it. Then they're probably actually getting, because your average person, they're not looking for a gun video about people having a bad experience buying a firearm. It's not,
It's up to about.
Joe Public isn't out there catching that on their Facebook stream, or not, Facebook stream and going, oh, I want to go see about this sting operation that the anti-gunners are doing against gun owners in New York. They could give a rat's ass.
Right.
On my Facebook account, I actually had it pointed out to me by 3 different pro-gun pages, actually, and it's, as I checked earlier, it was about 1.5 million viewers at this point.
Well, I mean, I don't. Maybe this is a bad way of looking at it, but for now, I feel bad saying this, but I feel like there's certain states that are kind of a lost cause for now. It's going to take some serious legislation, a shift in power. I don't know the courts to get involved, but there's other
convention of states.
But there's
that
states
is actually going on.
There's like states like mine and Luke's that are not a lost cause, and I feel like I hope we can get the help and the letter writing nationally that can save us from ending up being like a place like New York or New Jersey.
Well, surprisingly,
go ahead.
Surprisingly, even Illinois is not a lost cause. If you actually lived here and saw how much is being pushed to overthrow the bans, specifically in Chicago, and that's where it's a lot of confusion here is, I live 20 minutes outside the city, and those laws do not apply to me here.
I wasn't trying to point out the error of my, the semantics. I was trying to say, like, we need, like, I feel like my state needs as much out-of-state help as we can get to not
Oh, I
end up
agree.
in the place.
We're on the leading edge for the middle of the road crowd, and like in Illinois, you guys are making huge progress in that you actually have concealed carry, even though it's way cost prohibitive compared to the other states. But you're headed in a positive direction, and yeah, we should support you and keep nudging things along. But they're going for that middle of the road people and going to take it the other way.
Well, there's a reason I didn't use Illinois as an example.
Well,
There's states that are going in a positive route, and there's states that are going in a negative route, and then there's states that are just. I don't even know what to say about New Jersey and New York. It's just like that. It's like the
California.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
California, yeah.
Well, I guess what I was trying to point out by bringing up my state was to basically show that actually my state may turn around and completely in the next year or two, actually, from the way it's looking from the inside at least. But by all means, before Illinois gets any more support, we just had a major piece go through. Like you said, we do need to support Oregon, and we need to support anybody else that's in that same situation at this point first.
Yeah. But no, I totally get what Chris is saying over there. It's the fact that there are certain states just demographically that you're not, demographically and politically, that you're never gonna sway that. At least on the big picture, the big political picture, they're never going to become a pro-gun state. You may have individuals within that state.
We do have one piece of legislation out there that once we get a president that will sign it, if we get that National Reciprocity Act, I know some people don't like it because it's a national ruling towards carry, but all it does is make it so you can carry in another state by following their rules. But once California has to allow people from all the other states to conceal carry there, and they don't have mass shootings in the street or whatever, that could go a huge way, at least in the general public's support of not going after guns. Think about the first time, let's say I went to California, I'm allowed to carry in their state, I shoot a criminal, guns are being used for good, not for bad, how far that would go against the anti-gun movement. If
Well,
something like that would happen.
the sad thing I want to see, or I shouldn't say the sad thing, but the thing I want to see, and I don't know who, hell, maybe we could do it, on a, but it takes, like, I don't know who put this video out, like who pushed it, the New York video, but I would like to see the NRA or the ILA or
Bloomberg's millions.
or someone from pro-gun do a damn commercial or get as involved. And I know we try to be involved with our little gun channels and gun community and repeal gun laws and Second Amendment and all that shit on a grassroots level, if you will, which is, I'm not downing it, I'm not putting it down by any means, but the fact of the matter is, it seems like the anti-gunners always get the big national media attention, the commercials, and I want to see a pro-gun. I'd like to see the same damn setup with people going into a gun shop and reading about the 60-year-old grandmother that saved her 2 grandkids with a sawed-off shot, with a double-barrel shotgun, or what I'm saying, the positive gun.
We need that.
You're never going to see that, Stone. Not on our media.
No, we're not. Like, we can't say that we're not going to see it. We presumably have no. Listen, before you go all negative on it, we've got 60 million gun owners right now. 5 million of them have a voice through the NRA. Whether you agree with them or not, that's the biggest voice. If we could get something to rally amongst ourselves to get even a third of us, that'd be what, close to 20 million people, to have a voice. I mean, even with the NRA stuff, we're creating havoc in the Senate and in legislation nationally. If we could get that coalition of people together with one voice, we can make the Bloombergs say, hey, I'm just wasting my money with this.
Yeah, and I guess that's what's
something
irritating
else.
is that we're not. And I mean, all those stats you just quoted are great, but the fact of the matter is we're not. We're not seeing a pro-gun media.
Well, the good thing is that
You only have Fox News for that, and that's it. The rest of them don't care.
Well, there is the other.
Well, I'm a pro-gun guy, and I don't even like Fox, and it's just sort of, they're not going to.
It's the only thing you got, brother.
That anti-gun video,
No,
it didn't
it's
hit the
not the only
mainstream.
Yeah, no, it's not
Yeah,
the only
dude.
thing we got. And if you
shown
watch
on Fox News.
No, okay. Fox News is not the only thing we got, and if you watch Fox News, some of the dumb shit they say, trust me, I've seen it
Oh, my
recently.
God.
Oh yeah.
It depends on which pundit, which anchor they have out there. Like, some of them are just as bad as any other channel. So,
Well, when's the
We've
last?
got Patriot Radio. It's pretty much pro-gun. It has a way bigger audience than Fox News ever will. So, don't tell me there isn't other voices out there.
Okay,
There is a lot more people.
Hold on, I may be misinformed here, and I may be completely misinformed or just unaware, but tell me the last time a pro-gun video, a real strong pro-gun video, got 1.5 million views in 2 days.
Or on any other network. Show me where someone is pro-gun on network. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, but a lot of pro-gunners contributed to those views of that video, so it was
Well,
like
that's
us
true.
watching it and getting pissed at it, and then
Well, I guess
that's why they disabled the comments,
I guess
and
the
then
thing
we spread
is,
it around through all this pro-gun media.
Yeah, you got a point there.
one of the first things I did when I saw that video of the gun shop in New York is I scrolled down to see if the likes and comments were disabled. And as soon as I saw that, that answered that first question I had was like, how legitimate are all these views? How legitimate is this video? It's all gone. I mean, that's a really telling sign of like where the people that made that are coming from, because they don't have a leg to stand on, and they want us to have the views there. Let's show everybody how many views we got, but we don't want to see how many dislikes, and we don't want to see any discontent. Just the views, and the views go on. It doesn't matter your nationality, your religion. None of that matters. How you feel about guns. None of that matters on a view.
If they'd have left on the comment period or whatever, it could have had 750,000 negative views or negative thumbs down. And then what would they have to show for it?
There was a study that basically said the people that watch Fox News are less informed than people that don't watch news at all because of the angle of the news that they're throwing it. They're doing the complete opposite of the liberals.
Dude, Fox News is not the answer. The answer is questioning anything you see and doing your own research to make sure, because it doesn't matter what group you're watching it through. A lot of them are spinning it to make money on their particular channel. So you got to question everything you see, including Fox, including all of them.
Well, and I have no problem with the Fox News thing. Not saying they're totally true, but the rest of the networks, they lie their asses off. They put nothing on pro-gun ever. You tell me where they put pro-gun on. Never.
We totally agree with you, but their percentage of the actual news market right now compared to the new media is like 5%. So yeah, I mean they're looking at retooling and even coming over to the other side. Who is it? MSNBC. They're looking at going to right-wing views just because they're about ready to go bankrupt.
Yeah, but
trust me, I see stuff on Fox News during the screen tip, like possible M855 ban. They had these, the whoever the anchor was this guy with glasses, and he was just a freaking idiot. And then they had apparently a pro-gun pundit who, I mean, she was somewhat informed, but not very well informed. And then they had an anti-gun person who spouted off the usual fucking moms demand whatever shit. And between their anchor and their so-called pro-gun pundit, it was terrible. I was embarrassed.
Well, I think the original point was, why doesn't the NRA do anything? Well, they can, they just can't go to the normal media outlets. They can make their own videos and put them online, and, I mean, they would get spread around very quickly, and I think a lot of people have lost faith in the NRA because they haven't done anything like this in so many years at all.
Yeah, it's up to us. When it boils down to it, us depending on the news outlets to like back our asses up isn't happening. It's up to us to be responsible gun owners and do smart shit, like take somebody out shooting, introduce somebody to firearms that hasn't shot before, do the things that like a responsible, good gun owner should do and would do, and also be, when the letters need to be wrote, whether it affects you or not, whether it's like over here in Oregon and you're in North Carolina or something, fucking help us out. It's up to us to be proactive, no matter where it is or what it has to do. Like,
all right,
it's like all.
Guys.
I'm gonna hop on that. Hold on just a sec. Well, I'm gonna hop out so G-Webs can get in. But I want to say one thing before I go. I'm agreeing with Chris. It is up to us. You can do it on your Facebook, anybody you have influence on. Don't be spamming all these things with people blowing shit up with Tannerite, but send them stuff that's well put together, pro-gun stuff, see if you can influence them. And with that, I'm going to bow out.
Yeah, he's right. We got people that are skittish. They don't know which way to lean, and if we're careful and smart about how we approach certain people, you can sway. I've swayed people just by giving a decent, not argument. I didn't argue with them, but just a discussion. And by the end of it, they're like, "Wow, I can see where you're coming from." That makes,
Well, it's not about arguing. We beat up the NRA. I'm a life member. They've done more than anybody that I know of, and hats off to them. But the news and stuff, it's all political crap. And at least, and trust me, I don't like any news, but the Fox News, at least they say good stuff about gun owners. None of the other networks never do. All right, I didn't mean to kill the chat, guys.
Well, no, absolutely.
It's pandering, though. I mean, it's like the MSNBC panders to the liberal, it's they're pandering to people instead of reporting, what's actually going on. If stuff in the past wasn't reported, every time somebody got shot with a gun, or more than one person got shot with a gun in any given day, it was reported. They're still omitting all the gangbangers that are killing each other all the time in California, because that's not a popular news topic, or Chicago, or these inner city, gangs that they have and whatnot.
Hey, did anybody
Yeah,
hear
welcome to network news.
accidents in the past couple days either? There was like a 50-car pileup outside of Toronto. I didn't see that hit the news. There was another one just outside of Chicago here, and even on my local news, they didn't feature it. But they had some stupid shit about like what was going on in New York, though.
But
Yeah.
did they have any guns?
It's flavor of
No,
the week, dude.
People
news is-
died though, but that doesn't fucking matter either.
the news sells shit, and they sell it through fear, and they sell the fear that is the flavor of that week. You know what I like? I mean, what? Okay, here's something I always think about. You know, that they go off on the rampage shooters and all this shit. When's the last time you heard about a serial killer? I mean, is it just me, or did every single serial killer just vanish off the face of the earth after like 1995?
Well, they're not serial killers anymore. They're serial shooters because they decide to kill them with guns.
Bullshit. They're
No, they're still happening, but the flavor of the month is the taste for the blood in the water is the gun stuff.
Right, exactly. It doesn't fit their narrative. It's entertainment news.
Yeah.
They had. I heard it reported on the radio the other day how somebody did something to a mall or something, and they had to say like an assault rifle. Like, come on, who the hell cares? I listen to BBC or something, and they'll say something happened in so and so country. Then they'll say something else happened in this country. Our news has to say something happened in some other country with an assault rifle.
Yeah, exactly.
The world has changed in the past 30 years, when I was 8 or 9 years old. But back then, you disappear for 4 or 5 hours in any given day as a kid. You go playing with your friends, riding your bicycles, or going to the pool in the summer, and your parents would be cool with that. Cause like, as long as he gets home before, the freaking street lights turn on, he's good. But right now, like what Chris is talking about is that, unfortunately, what they do is they just scared the shit out of you to where you want to covet your kids and covet everything and be afraid, and all these fears are there. And yes, the world has changed. There are different things going on, but is it really that much dangerous as far as being in your local community in the United States?
And the numbers show it isn't.
No, it isn't. But people are so terrified. I can't let my kid go to the park alone. I can't let my kid go, to the swimming pool alone. I have to be there.
Well, not only that, but now you've got the government, you've got law enforcement agencies, child protective agencies that are becoming more involved in how to raise your children. And so before,
in Texas,
where you
some woman just had her kid taken away for letting her kid play in the front yard.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Back in our day,
Beat 'em.
You could be gone from your parents for 8 hours playing. Now they would consider that, neglect and reckless endangerment and, all sorts of shit. So it's
neglected.
Well, I mean, if we support these news organizations, even by watching a clip here and a clip there, there are news. Even if I see, I get on my news feed online and I watch to see what. I'm like, oh, that headline's interesting. Then I look to see who's putting that headline out, and some of them I'll just skip it because I'm not gonna freaking give that news organization even a click. And I'll if I'm really interested in the title, then I'll Google search the title and find that that article from a different news organization. I mean, and that's what it has to come down to. Is we just have to say enough's enough. I'm sick of this BS that you're trying to feed us.
Well, let me ask you this. Was CNN an ally? And I realize Piers Morgan was not an ally by any means. But with all of the debating that was going on CNN at that point, with all the pro-gunners, and not just the stupid ones, the ones that were actually making real points against him, weren't they being quite a good ally to us, just like Fox News, as G. Webb's pointed out?
I will tell you that CNN.
I didn't point that out. I was just reflecting what SOS guy said.
Well, I will tell you, CNN with Piers Morgan, they put him there for a reason. Larry King was losing his ass in ratings, and they removed him. He was a solid reporter, unbiased, always gave everybody a fair shake as long as they acted professional on his show. I mean, he would shut people down when they were acting a fool, but he was a solid guy. They got rid of him because they're like, you're an old fart, you're old school, we don't want you, we want somebody who's going to gin up ratings. And they brought in him, and realistically, I'm sure he has some convictions and about his show and the way he conducted it. But for all intents and purposes, he might not even give a shit about any of that because he was just trying to gen up ratings. He was just trying to poke you to eat your goat, and he did a very good job at that. But he did it so terrible tactics that people just didn't want him on that network at the end of his contract.
Well, I guess what I was saying though is the whole thing did bring somewhat positive attention and positive NRA members, gun role models, if you want to say, for the new generation. It brought them right into the front page. Wasn't that, like I said, from SOS, Fox News was an ally, and we should take allies when we get them. Was CNN being an ally at that point? I know they were just doing it for the ratings, but I think they helped us out quite a bit.
I mean, yeah, sure, but in the end of the day, you have to realize Fox News is part of the problem, not part of the solution. Overall, I'm not just talking about the one issue, but overall, in the grand scheme of things, they're not helping us any. They're lining their effing pockets and selling us news that is hardly news.
Well, I agree.
Actually,
That's
that's
pretty
where the
much
problem came down when we let the corporations take over the news.
They have, yeah, exactly. He just hit the nail on the head right there. And all Fox News's reporters, they have one reporter that is considered like
unbiased,
like a straight, like of all, like, there's like a thing they do every year, like they like rate all the reporters. Fox News only has one out of all their people. That blows my mind.
Who are you talking about, Shep?
Yeah, it's Shep.
Yeah.
He's the only one that makes a list of I forgot what they call it, but it's like a rating list for reporters.
So who on the other networks support our gun rights on any other network?
I don't go through networks. That's the thing.
Okay.
I either go online. I avoid certain things. I avoid like the Poison. I'm not gonna argue there. CNN, MSNBC, I avoid them like plague. I go online, and if I want like broad general news, I go either BBC or Al Jazeera or something like that, because that's the only way I can like circumvent.
My thing is just like anybody will support us, I'm with them. Anybody that's against us, I'm not watching them, and that's probably pretty much of the network news people.
Right, and to me, all of them, now obviously Fox is a little more favorable to gun rights and.
Amen, brother.
But all of them are strictly in an entertainment industry at this point. I don't feel like they're really putting out the news. They're going to put out whatever is entertaining, whatever is going to sell the ratings, and get them on the front page, so to speak. It's less about news and more about ratings.
That is totally true.
I was going to say, like, when Ted Nugent went on and faced Pierce Morgan and Jesse Ventura and some other people that made really outstanding arguments, was it really pro-gun? Yes, by the people that have the show, but it was entertaining. I mean, I got a kick out of watching, Ted Nugent, which I'm not a fan of, dubbing it to Pierce Morgan. And he'd have a lot of good responses back to him. And the other guy from that lawyer, I believe from the NRA, that they had on there, who's did a really good job of shutting up Pierce Morgan and got him really pissed off. But at the end of the day, it entertained the shit out of me, and I was entertained, and it was nevertheless entertainment.
Edge, anybody that's bitch slapped Pierce Morgan is a hero.
Well, you gotta think though, entertainment is gonna spread, so Ted Nugent entertaining you, you're going to tell your friend, he's going to tell his friend, oh, hey, I like Ted Nugent. May not be a gun supporter, but you're going to watch it because of Ted instead. And it just gets more exposure to our side of things at that point. I mean, with those being brought up, those did sell.
You could marginalize.
Yeah, but, I mean, so those exact videos he's talking about are kind of what sold my wife on getting guns.
I mean, let's face it, the broadcast news is we're relegated to like the Blaze and stuff like that. Broadcast news is not going to be in our favor, and that's why we have to stick together. I'm going all the way back to the beginning of my conversation here. Is like the only way we're gonna stand up against something like that is just our sheer numbers as gun owners, regardless of what news channel we watch or who we vote for.
Well, and that was kind of the whole catalyst of this conversation was the fact that I think we as individuals and any group we're associated with need to push the positive video, in rebuttal to this New York crap,
I think we should get newer, more relevant people in the music industry, new and upcoming movie stars, to start coming out with pro-gun views. Start making the next generation in the middle of the road and those on the fence start seeing it's okay. The problem is you got morons like Snoop Dogg who made an entire career out of it. Now they're doing this. You got a Jim Carrey. Every time I turn around, I seem to hear of another actor that wants to bomb guns, like Liam Neeson, which killed me.
You got Kanye. Come on now.
They're foreigners. Who cares?
Right, but what makes their videos so big and huge is the controversy they cause, and we use a lot of facts without emotion, and it doesn't cause quite the controversy as theirs.
Well, the facts is great, but it would be nice to reach out to those who are up and coming and start to see it's okay, but we don't have that. We've got essentially older people that are not relevant to these younger generations that are maybe not exposed to guns, like that kid growing up in Chicago or that kid growing up in the city in I don't know where. He might not have that gun exposure, and if he gets somebody that he's looked up to and the way that the media pushes these people on and starts to see, hey, it's okay, I'd see a lot of things changing for our side.
Yeah.
The problem is the corporation that is Hollywood basically would those actors unfortunately probably would have a really hard time getting a job if they.
Well, and that's what I was just about to ask is what's driving that, because we all know that Hollywood sculpts society. I mean, let's face it. In the last 20 years.
Well, I don't know if any of you guys ever met any actors, but I mean. About I don't know, more than half of them are freaking nuts. All right, some of them are just cool, down to earth people, but a lot of them are just fruitcakes.
Yeah, they're in the.
And a lot of these people piping up and saying shit like Jim Carrey. I mean, if you didn't think that guy was off his rocker already, I mean that should just prove it.
So do you think that's just strictly his agent or his producers or whoever just
he's just
pulling his strings, his puppet? He's just a marionette.
I think he's just a freaking asshole and a weirdo. I mean, he's a little.
I never thought he was right to begin with.
Yeah, I mean,
where are the celebrities that do openly support guns standing up and saying something right now?
The problem with Hollywood is Hollywood has blacklisted actors in the past for nothing. Like John Landis. When's the last time you seen a movie directed by John Landis? John Landis had one accident on one film set where an actor and a kid was killed by a crashing helicopter, and he never made a movie again. And it had nothing to do with his desire to make movies. They just blacklisted his ass. Or the actors in the 50s that got called communists when they weren't really. I don't know if they're communists or not, but they never worked in Hollywood again.
Well, I like the fact that Brad Pitt came out. In fact, he even did an interview, and he said in his interview, he goes, "I don't feel right unless there's 2 or 3 guns in my house. My house does not feel protected."
Yeah, there are actors that will come out and say stuff. I have a couple actors that live in my state, like Sam Elliott, and those guys they're all pro-gun. But the thing is, if you get on the soapbox, you can be pro-gun like Brad Pitt, but if you get on the soapbox, you're rolling the dice if you'll ever work again. Brad Pitt is freaking, he is Hollywood. He can say whatever the fuck you want. But if you're Joe character actor, you might never work in Hollywood again.
They'll eviscerate.
I agree, but the whole point was there's one maybe 2 videos of Brad Pitt announcing it. But I mean, we got all these anti-gun celebrities coming out, but the pro-gun celebrities, even the really big ones like Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, there's quite a few others on that list.
Well, okay. Also, look the state. Okay, look at the state that Hollywood is in, and there's so many reasons why you see this shit put out.
The hypocrisy of it all is ridiculous. Because again, when's the last time you've seen a really great movie? There isn't a good gunfight or scene, or something. Even Lone Survivor, and all these great movies that come out, and they have no problem, making these some are great movies with these great, gunfights and whatnot. But then all of a sudden, oh yeah, that's fiction. We don't want to promote that as being real life. So
well, that makes you wonder who the real driving force behind this is. Is it? I mean, who's pulling the strings of these people in Hollywood?
Look at the kid games your kids are playing.
They wouldn't be making those movies if the public wasn't asking for action and gun violence.
We're
driving
money,
it.
Yeah, it's money. They're trying to absolve their freaking sins for making these PSAs when they got Stallone is on the back of a freaking Jeep with a 50 blowing guys in half, and Liam Neeson is freaking decimating the Armenian population of Europe. Like they're trying to absolve themselves of their freaking sins by making these stupid ass PSAs because maybe they feel guilty or maybe they're just assholes. Who knows? But they live in a state that is like a democratic machine that's going to pump out this shit, and it doesn't really give the platform for the other side to be like, hey, I'm Brad Pitt, I don't feel this way. It's not there.
A lot of those guys live in a bubble though, man. They don't have a real reality.
Hell yeah, totally.
They don't understand what it's like to be normal again once they get to where like you're catered to everything. Your life is always given like preference to everything that you want as long as you're an A-lister. They live in a complete bubble, and then they make these stupid statements because nothing affects them.
I don't need a gun.
Sign on to. I'm sorry.
I was going to say.
We're doing really good, aren't we? They sign on to the "Don't Bite the Hand That Feeds You" program when it comes to their political machine.
And also, the bubble. Why do they need a gun? They got a security detail. I mean, fuck. If I had a security detail, I probably wouldn't need a gun either because I'd have 5 guys around me with guns. I mean, that's the bubble that they live in. Some of them are down to earth, and we see it in the way what they say, and the way they act, and like the way what they stand up for. And some of them, maybe their political leanings just don't go that way, and that's fine. And then some of them are just unhinged. So who cares what they have to fucking say?
Gary Sinise is a big advocate, I understand, of and in general, just a conservative, but he's also pro-gun.
Yep, he puts a lot of his effort into wounded warriors, which I think is a good thing. But
who was that? Edge?
Gary Sinise.
Oh yeah. Clint Eastwood famously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the sad part is that these celebrities have as much influence as they do on these sheeple that fall in line and hinge on their word as gospel, and and then like you said, you got this whole I'm unloading shit from Snoop Dogg, which is a complete just.
Yeah, you got to look at also from their PR machine. If they put out something that all their people, all the people that they're listening to them agree with them on, it doesn't get a lot of activity. But if you can go piss off the gun owners or whatever and get that battle going, now you're getting more attention because there's that infighting going on. It's a sick sociological thing, but it works.
I mean, Ice-T is famously pro-gun. So what if Snoop Dogg has a change of heart and is a hypocrite? I mean, fine. That's he can get on a soapbox and scream all he wants because Hollywood will support that. It's
yeah, but Ice-T's not getting in front of a camera and a mic saying that he's pro-gun
well,
either.
He has gotten. I've seen his pro-gun shit on like a lot of interviews. I mean.
Usually, he's done it on Pierce Morgan.
But see, what I'm saying is that, like the community down there will support making the Snoop Dogg video, but they're not going to support the other way around. So it's either up to the NRA to get off their ass, start freaking being proactive, and stop being a bunch of old men in a room somewhere, or I don't know. I'm about to.
Yeah, but look at the hip hop industry and the video game industry in general. They promote violence, and this and that, the stories of, how they're thugs and whatnot. And a lot of them are based. They're not. It's based nationwide, not just out of more East Coast, West Coast, but still. And in Hollywood alone, or that Los Angeles, well, it's based out of there. They didn't have a problem with it until they don't have a problem with it as far as selling albums. But again, another thing when you're talking about pistols in general or anything or guns, it's just like, oh, that's a bad thing.
And all I know is with the internet, at least until the FCC gets a hold of it now, we have a voice that can be louder than any of these things that we've discussed in the popular media. We just have to channel it and figure out how to get those that aren't in our own ranks motivated about it to be motivated.
Yeah.
False flag what your
I
video.
think just the M855 was a good practice run at that.
Yeah, I thought we had pretty good results from that. But we
I
need to
agree.
figure out how those people that came out of the shadows got there and how to bring them with us more often.
Yeah, especially for maybe something that doesn't necessarily affect them directly, like, going back to the Oregon or Washington thing, or even the 545 by 39. It's really telling to see how many people jumped out of their chairs, started screaming about M855, but like it was like crickets during the 545 by 39.
545, yeah.
I know for my part, I didn't really even know about it until after it happened. So I didn't have a voice because I didn't even know it was going on until it had already happened, and then
Well,
we didn't have enough people that actually used it that were agitated enough to get the rest of us going, I guess. I'm not saying people didn't do anything. I'm sure there's tons of channels that did videos, but it didn't come across my desk, if you will.
Well, I wrote letters to my representatives. I didn't even take the time to write to the ATF. I knew they were going to do what they were going to do because the past already told me what was going to happen. But I wrote to my representatives saying, hey, this is going on. Somebody should craft legislation to protect this.
I mean, things like gun channels helps because it's a place where you can put a link, or Facebook, I guess, but like it's up to us to grow what we got and keep it going so that we have a place where we can get the ball rolling, we can get the word out. You gotta check the shit, make sure like something isn't slipping past you. That's difficult because there's so much shit going on, but we have to keep building on what we got right now rather than slacking off.
Well, and that is kind of what's going on. I just saw an advertisement the other day for another a For Us By Us forum run by the people that off of YouTube. They're now doing their own thing on their own channel, kind of like Gunwebs here.
Right on, except I'm not doing my own thing. I'm doing it for everybody. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Group effort.
Well, I mean, their main focus, though, is it's like a YouTube owned by gun owners, or these gun...
Yeah, it's full 30. You're talking about full 30, I think.
However you want to look at your participation, we appreciate it.
That came up in my feed when I started checking it out, actually. I forget what the other one is.
Yeah. Young Guns and full 30. But yeah, I mean and like I said, it's just all of our, and I call it grassroots just because it's not a a big national thing. I mean, all of this is excellent. I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere. Like I said before, I just wish for once we could turn on our local ABC or Discovery Channel or something and see a legitimate pro-gun, commercial that tugs at your heartstrings, just like these fucking anti-gun commercials that seem to get on air.
You're talking about like the Glocks in Africa that need feeding commercial.
I don't know about that, but yeah, we get a coalition or 10, 15, 20 million people that have that same voice. You do a $1 petition, now you got a 25, $30 million ad campaign fund to go produce a video like that, and we can run it wherever the hell we want because it's not tied into Republican or Democrat stuff. It's where we want it to be put.
Unfortunately, we don't have that channel, but honestly, unfortunately, like newspapers, the big CBS, NBC, all that shit, they're becoming dinosaurs, and what we're doing here is the future.
Absolutely.
And yeah, being able to put the internet is the future, and if we support channels and websites, whether they be on YouTube or their own standalone thing, that is the future of media. those channels are on their way out. They can sit there and spout all the shit they want, but nobody's watching them anymore.
They're irrelevant.
There you go.
Tongue-tied.
That's awesome. That's a good way to end it. We've been going a little over an hour, and I got to get up early, so I appreciate everybody that tuned in, and ended up being a pretty decent chat, despite this horrible start with the Google Plus and the link system being all jacked up. No, I appreciate everybody on the panel. All your input, suggestions, and knowledge was spot on. So we'll do it again next week. Thanks for watching, guys.